Take a look at your top 8 national seeds. Texas, the #1 overall seed. The last #1 overall to win it way back in 2001, that was Miami. Cal State, Fullerton, LSU, North Carolina, Arizona State, Irvine, Oklahoma, and Florida. The last national seed to win it was Rice back in '03. So certainly, guys, no guarantees at all if you are a national seed that you'll have a chance to win it all. Any team you thought might appear in these first 8?
I really expected I'd see Florida State in here. Florida State won 42 games during the regular season. That includes the outright ACC regular season, and the Seminoles also played in the ACC championship game.
Here are the brackets. Let's break down the field of 64. We start in Texas, the Austin region. Texas, the #1 overall seed, as we said, led the nation in ERA. They get Army making their 4th appearance. Boston College, their first appearance since 1967 against Texas State, making their 4th appearance. Kyle, anything jump out?
Well, Texas is a team that really is going to look like some of the great teams that Augie Garrido's had in the past. They really defend. They're 3rd in the country in fielding percentage. They've really pitched. They lead the country in ERA, and they're 2nd in the country in sack bunts. So the kind of team that Augie Garrido has won with in the past. On the mound, a couple of freshmen have been real good. Taylor Youngman and Austin DeSherry. But to me, Austin Wood is the guy that's really carried him. The senior has done a little bit of everything for him on the mound this year.
So we will see if Texas is either of your pick to win it all. How about the TCU bracket? Horned Frogs make a 6th straight appearance, taking on Wright State. Oregon State, a 4th appearance in 5 years. They're in the big dance against Texas A&M, making a 25th appearance in the NCAA tournament. The Georgia Tech bracket, one of 4 ACC host schools, taking on a Georgia State team making their 1st appearance. And how about Southern Miss? Great story. Corky Palmer, their head coach, making his last run here. He will retire at the end of the year, taking on an Elon team that led the nation in home runs, Will.
Yeah, you got your SoCon Player of the Year, Pat Irvine, just bashing it for Elon. But Georgia Tech can swing the bats a little bit, too. Also, over 100 home runs on the year, 3rd in the nation. You got big-time juice and guys like Luke Merton, whose big brother Matt has played in the big leagues. You've got Tony Plagman at 1st, Matt Skoll over at 3rd. Just some big dudes with all kinds of juice. Plus, you've got Deck McGuire, the ACC Pitcher of the Year for Georgia Tech, who will be a 1st-rounder next year.
Florida Gators will be hosting one of, as we said, the 25th appearance for the Gators in the big dance. They will get, though, Bethune-Cookman. Don't sleep on Bethune-Cookman. 10 appearances in 11 years. Jacksonville, a 3rd appearance in 4 years, take on a Miami school that breaks the all-time record, 37 straight appearances in the NCAA tournament, Will.
Florida. Kevin O'Sullivan, in his 2nd year at Florida, has gotten them into the postseason both times. This year, they're a national seed. They've got a star first base freshman, Preston Tucker. Got to be careful, though, Gators. Be real careful here. Miami went to Gainesville, won a 3-game series, sweeping that early in the year. And then Bethune-Cookman, Merville Melendez doing a great job down there. They beat Miami 2 out of 3 and have Hiram Burgos. Great arm. Could be scary for the Gators.
I think Arizona State would have to be considered one of the favorites in this entire thing. 2nd in ERA. They are the Pac-10 champs, taking on a Kent State team that won the MAC. Cal Poly, first ever appearance to the NCAA tournament. They get Oral Roberts. But, Kyle, what do you like about the Sun Devils?
Well, I like how balanced they are. And a lot of times Arizona State will really hit. Packer Stadium's a great place to hit. This year, though, they've really pitched. They come in 2nd in the country in ERA. Mike Leake has been as good as almost anybody in the country. He's tied with Steven Strasburg for the best ERA in the entire country. At the plate, Jason Kipnis has done a little bit of everything. He leads them in stolen bases with 21, and 14 home runs are 2nd on the team. So it's a pretty balanced Arizona State club.
Well, let's get to the Clemson region. They will get Tennessee Tech, as Clemson is 4th in ERA. They could pitch, they could hit, their 38th appearance in the NCAA tournament. Oklahoma State, one of the bubble teams that will make the field. Cowboys are in. That means somebody is out. They'll take on an Alabama team with Kent Mathis, who led the nation in home runs. The East Carolina bracket. That's right. East Carolina is hosting, not South Carolina. The Pirates 8th in doubles. They've made 10 appearances in 11 years. Binghamton won the American West. George Mason is a bubble team in, and South Carolina, 10 straight appearances in the NCAA tournament. In the North Carolina region, we know the Tar Heels were in, that's for sure, with the best position player in the dance. Dustin Ackley, the first baseman, can flat out play. They meet Dartmouth, who won the Ivy League. Kansas gets in for the second time in 5 years. And Coastal Carolina back in as a 2. They lost to North Carolina in the Super Regionals last year.
That's going to be fun if you see Coastal Carolina play North Carolina. They played earlier this year, some home run dances for each side, got a little chippy, so we're looking forward to that. And we think North Carolina will be there. Why? A year after leading the nation in strikeouts, they're back and did it again, over 500 on the season. Alex White, Adam Warren, Matt Harvey are the rotation there, one of the best in the nation.
Gentlemen, 32 in, 32 yet to go. Half the field has been announced. Where is Irvine? Number 1 in the polls. Will they be a number 1? And what about last year's defending champ? Fresno State is back in dramatic fashion. Can they do it again? And don't forget about the best player in the country. We'll touch on him straight ahead. The field of 64 getting announced right now. 32 in, 32 still to come. Utah, they had their work cut out just to get into this thing, but yes, indeed, they won the Mountain West as a 6 seed. They will get Fullerton and Josh Fellhauer, one of the best players in the country. Gonzaga's in for an 8th appearance, taking on Georgia Southern, second to Elon in the Southern Conference. Kyle, what do you jump out about this field with you with Fullerton?
To me, Fullerton, again, is a very complete ball club. They're tops in the country, top 10 in the country in fielding percentage and ERA. You can tell that Dave Serrano is doing a lot of the same things that Augie used to do when he was at Cal State Fullerton. To me, though, the thing that jumps out is how balanced they are in their lineup. Christian Colon has been great at the shortstop position. A couple of freshmen, Tyler Bill, Noe Ramirez, and Nick Ramirez, have been great at the back end.
Louisville region, just the one Big East school to qualify. Louisville wins the Big East. They're in. They'll take on a very hot team. Indiana won the Big Ten tournament. Eric Garnett. The Hoosiers have a very good pitching staff. Will be interesting to see that 1-4 matchup. Elsewhere, Vandy, Mike Minor, the tough lefty, against Middle Tennessee State. Moving on, Florida State. Florida State, a very difficult team to match up with. You can see their very impressive resume. Ohio State won the Big Ten regular season. They'll take on Georgia, who's been to the College World Series 6 of the 8 last years. Oklahoma is a 1 seed, and why not? The best offense in all the Big 12. They will get Wichita State in the 1-4 matchup. Washington State taking on Arkansas in the 3-2 out in the Norman, Oklahoma region. Arguably the toughest bracket of all. Wait till you see this. It is amazing. Irvine, number 1 in the polls, take on the defending champions from Fresno State. San Diego State, the best player in the tournament, in Steven Strasburg, and they get Virginia, who won the ACC tournament. Kyle, who do you give the edge to?
Well, I think you still have to give the edge to Irvine just for what they did over the course of the year. I mean, this is a really good ball club, and if you've watched Irvine the last couple of years, very similar team. They're not going to jump out at you with a lot of power numbers. They're not going to steal a ton of bases, but what they're going to do is consistently play the game right at every position. Mike Gillespie knows how to coach, and this club really takes on his personality, real business-like approach for Irvine.
We will have more on that bracket a little bit later in the show. Moving along, Mississippi is a 1. The SEC co-champs with LSU get Monmouth. Western Kentucky, a bubble team for sure, second out of the Sun Belt. They will get Missouri, but tough bracket, Kyle. Rice, once again, a 1. Remember, they won it in 03, but interesting here, first time since '96, Rice did not win their conference title to take on Sam Houston State. Xavier won the Atlantic 10. Xavier gets in a Kansas State school record for wins, but Rice back as a number 1, Will. Now 60 in, 4 more to go. We know LSU will be 1, arguably the best position players in the entire country. They won the SEC tournament. They'll meet Southern in the 1-4 matchup. Baylor, a ton of talent, but lost 12 of 14 down the stretch against Minnesota, second out of the Big Ten. An interesting matchup. So those are the 64 teams that will play for a chance to head to Omaha and win the College World Series, the Big West Conference. 2 national seeds, with Fullerton as the overall number 2 and top-ranked Irvine as the 6th. The SEC Big 12 account for 8 teams each, at the ACC 7, and that is 23 of the 64 for the Big 3 conferences. The consensus best player in the country, the number 1 pick in next month's draft. Of course, that is Steven Strasburg, and his 13-0 record will be on display as San Diego State takes on Virginia in the Irvine Regional. Guys, the 64 teams have been announced. We all know there are bubble teams that we thought would get in that didn't, but what jumps out from you, your first look here at the 64?
To me, what jumps out the most is that Irvine Regional. For what they did over the course of the year, they won the Big West Conference by 5 games, and that was 5 games over Cal State Fullerton. I just think if you're going to put those two as hosts, and they both deserve to host, there's no doubt about it, to me, this is a significantly tougher regional on paper than the Fullerton regional is. And I mean, San Diego State, they're probably going to miss Strasburg. Virginia will get them in game 1, but you're going to play the defending national champs game 1 when you win your league by 5 games. It surprised me. Well, I thought it was a little bit tougher than it should have been.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. The nice thing for Irvine is most likely the Eaters aren't going to see Steven Strasburg. He's probably going to go against Virginia. But, you know, Virginia with the number 6 RPI overall, they didn't play a great non-conference schedule, but did a really fine job in the ACC and obviously went 4-0 to win that tournament. You know, it's hard to know who's got it tougher between Irvine and Virginia. The other thing I think that just jumps out to me is seeing the Big 10, or the Big 12 rather, which only has 10 teams, get 8 of those in here. Sure. Baylor, beep, 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 backing up down the back end of the year, losing 12 of its last 14 in the regular season. And Oklahoma State, they won 2 out of 9 conference series. This is a reward for what you did? I don't know. I'd like to see a Rhode Island. You know, maybe some other teams in Eastern Illinois, which dominated its league, reward them. Maybe not so much the bottom of the big leagues.
Yeah, the college baseball tournament, more so than any of the other college sports, it's almost impossible to predict. We saw the lowest seed ever in college sports win a championship last year, so this field of 64 is the real deal.